Welcome everyone to Water Drops Live, Living Waters for the World's monthly online gathering with members of our community to share what we're learning together. We're glad that you're with us, and I'm here today with Doug Deppes, our co-host for Water Drops Live. Good morning, Doug. It's always great to be with you.
Good morning. Glad to be here once again, another month.
Well, if you're just beginning to learn about Living Waters for the World, we're a nonprofit organization that believes that everyone should have access to purified water to drink. We work on this through partnerships. This might be a church, it might be a Rotary Club, it might be another group that forms a team. We have a team that's formed of a family, one that's formed from people who work together. And this team comes to Living Waters for the World for training at our training school, which we refer to as Clean Water U. That means water for you and water for you. It's not really a university. It's the beginning of the training, which is 5 days. And then the learning goes on from there. So what a team learns is how to build a water partnership with a community that has water, but it's contaminated. So they work together on a project that will provide purified water and health education to that community on an ongoing basis. So at our training school, Clean Water U, each team member attends one of 3 workshops that focus on a different aspect of that water partnership. One class is partnership management. We sometimes call that 101. This team member will lead the team and working alongside their partners on this water project. Things like budgeting and fundraising, logistics, team building. There's a lot of paperwork that goes into the planning of a water partnership that's going to perhaps be a micro business development in that community, providing some jobs. Management of that, communication with partners, because this is a multi-year project. And the 101 partnership manager handles that part of it. Another class that we have at Clean Water U is health education. And we sometimes refer to this as 102 for shorthand. This team member is going to learn why and how to use the purified water because it's a limited amount. So we're going to prioritize its use. We're not going to use it for just anything. They're also going to learn why, when, and how to properly wash your hands. That's something that we should all be aware of. They learn this so that they can teach a small group from their in-country partners who are going to continue those lessons in an ongoing way in the community. The best teachers are local teachers. They know the language, they know the culture, so they take the lessons and make it their own for that culture. And the third class at Clean Water U is 103, and it focuses on learning how to install the water purification system, how to operate it, how to maintain it, so that they can teach a group of local operators who are going to run that system in an ongoing way, serving that community purified water for years to come. We have some partnerships that have been going on for 5, 10, 15, even 20 years. So at Living Waters for the World, all of our teams are in train the trainer mode. They learn so that they can teach their partners. We work together, building a relationship as we work alongside each other on a sustainable water project that's going to impact the health of that community. So through Clean Water U, our training school at Living Waters for the World, we have trained over 2,600 people who've gone on to partner on water and train them, leading to over 1,100 water partnerships now in 28 countries. In fact, there are teams out right now, this day, who are working on water together. So today we have some special guests who are going to share more about their Living Waters for the World journey and where they are thus far. And Doug's going to introduce them to us.
Yeah, we have 3 awesome guests today that just came through our Clean Water U training. We do Clean Water U training twice a year. usually one time in the spring in Mississippi in Camp Hopewell, and one time in the fall in Camp Johnsonburg in New Jersey. So these three just came through our Camp Hopewell, Mississippi training in end of April. So it's fresh, it's new for some of them. Some of them have a bit more experience. And yeah, so I'd love to invite our three guests, Stephen, Robin, and Alyssa, to join us. And introduce yourselves real quick, where you're from, your church, your organization you're working with, where you guys plan on working or where you have worked. We'll kind of get into this. And let's just go workshop wise. Let's start 101. Stephen.
Morning, everyone, or perhaps good afternoon or even good evening. I'm Stephen McIntosh. I've lived in Memphis, Tennessee for the last 25 years or so, though I'm originally from Wisconsin, and that's in fact where I'm joining you from today. I'm a member of Idlewild Presbyterian Church in Memphis. And as Doug mentioned, I'm one of those individuals who just completed my first real in-depth experience with Living Waters for the World as an attendee at Clean Water University with my wife, Mary. And our congregation works primarily at this point with Ghana.
Awesome. Always good to have people from new networks, in Ghana is one of those great networks we have that maybe doesn't get the love it always deserves, but it's there, and appreciate that. 102, Robin.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to be here today. I live in Franklin, Kentucky, and I have partnered with our local Franklin Presbyterian Church. They have about 10 years experience with Living Waters. And I learned about the program about 10 years ago and decided that I would like to be a part of it, though the seasons weren't right for me over the years. And in this past year, life changed and I was able to. So I attended with one of the fellow church members, Karen Gibson. It was her second go round. She was first a health educator and then has trained to be an installer. And so this is my first. I am the newest one on the team here. And we partner with Guatemala.
Very cool. And our 103 for this session.
I'm Elisa Stewart from Hickory, North Carolina. I have attended Clean Water U 3 times, so I've done all 3 workshops. This time was probably the most challenging for me, getting to learn to build the system, but it was a wonderful experience. I have a partnership with our church, Bethlehem Lutheran. We're sort of the oddball, not Presbyterian, but we are welcomed with open arms with Living Waters. Our first installation was in 2012, and we have installed 5 systems in Honduras.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us here. And this is just a cool opportunity to share with you guys, with it being fresh, with just coming out of Clean Water U, and kind of talk about your experiences and next steps and all that kind of stuff. So let's start with the start. Robin, I'd love to start with you. You just mentioned that you heard about Living Waters 10 years ago. And so but are able to start joining kind of hands-on right now. How did you learn about Living Waters for the World? How did that all kind of come about?
Well, I was a co-chairperson for a local Earth Day event. Back in 2013 was our second year of having the event. And the Franklin Presbyterian Church signed up as a vendor to showcase to the community what they were doing in partnership with Living Waters. And they were super excited. They were on fire, and they were presenting in front of every civic organization group that would host them, that they could teach and learn about it. And that's how I learned. And I have several friends that are within the Presbyterian Church. And so through that, I helped support the program. I was not able to, in that time in my life, to say, oh, I'll sign up, I'd like to be a part of the team. I was not able to do that. It was probably about 4 years later, educator trainers for Living Waters now, she came to our Rotary Club, which again, I was there as a member, and I heard the presentation again, and she promoted the Cupbearer program. And so I thought, okay, well, I still am not in a place to go to a training for 5 days and travel abroad. And so I can be a cupbearer. And that was God's way of leading and keeping me connected to the program. And I was so proud to contribute the $5 a month for this program and receive the Cupbearer mug, which is the most perfect mug ever. And over the years, I just continue to contribute and increase my offerings that way. It was a very small contribution, but I'm a firm believer that if everybody does a little bit, then a whole lot can be accomplished with those resources. And so I then help promote the Cupbearer program. And then fast forward about 6 more years, like I said, life circumstances have changed. My kids have grown, they're out in college, graduated, and now it's mom's time. And God, again, just kept this on my heart, and I was super excited to get to sign up. Back, I think I might have been the first one to sign up for Camp Hopewell's training. I was so excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And thanks for that shout out for Cupbearers. We think that's a great program and really leads to a lot of help and change. So thanks for being there and faithful. And yeah, I've got my Cupbearers cup here as well, and it's a great mug. Yeah. Stephen, let's hear about you. We know that the Idlewild Church has been working in Ghana for a while. So you probably have heard of it, but now you've got the chance to actually join. But how did that kind of come about, hearing about it and then deciding to join, you and your wife?
Yep, what you said really describes my experience. So as I mentioned, we've been in Memphis and members of our church for about 25 years. And for 20 of those years, I've heard about Living Waters for the World. We began, I guess that would probably be maybe 10 or 12 years after Living Waters for the World was founded in 1993 by Will Howie. We started in Mexico as partners with Living Waters for the World, and then pretty quickly switched over to participating in Ghana. A little like Robin's story, my wife and I have been involved in a lot of other local outreach efforts in our community, and we're just waiting for the right season of life, if you will, to have the available time to jump into this particular effort more fully. So we're super excited. It's been something that, again, we've just heard so many positive things about, have supported financially through our church, and now are ready to become more hands-on.
Awesome. Awesome. And Elisa, you did things a little bit different than others. How was your kind of journey about coming to Living Waters for the World?
Well, our leader, Patrick Jenkins, went to Clean Water U in 2010. And again, I had a year-old baby at that point, and kind of like Robin, it just wasn't doable for me. But in 2018, they were taking a trip to Honduras, and I signed up to go. Had not been to Clean Water U. Of course, I'd seen the videos and knew all about Living Waters through Patrick. But so I joined the group in 2018, and we went down, and then COVID hit, and we put my second system I put in last summer, 2023. But after I got back from Honduras the first time in 2018, I came to Clean Water U in Mississippi that August or September, I think it was. So I did the 102 training the first time, the health education piece, and that is what I helped with when we went into Honduras the first time. And then since then, I completed the 101. Our group did not have a formally trained person to sort of lead all the pre-work that has to happen that you learn all about in that preparation workshop. So I completed that one last year, and then this year, sort of more out of curiosity than anything, I dove in and learned how to actually put the system together. So yeah, it's been a neat journey, and I hope I can continuing to learn. But
Sure. We call that our PhD program. You've gotten all 3 done.
yeah.
We don't have a whole lot of students who've done that, but you have now joined those ranks, Elisa. We're so happy. I love hearing these journey stories from you all, because they're all unique. And yet what they have in common is that everyone has said yes. And then you figure out the how, and that's how we have all of this clean water flowing and all these relationships and the good news spreading in many different places around the world. So I have a question for you all. I'm wondering what expectations you had coming in to Living Waters for the World, and especially to Clean Water U, the training, and then maybe how did those play out? I'm going to start with Elisa.
I don't know what I expected when I went into Honduras for the first time, but it wholeheartedly beat out any expectation that I would have had. We were in a community called Guasastagua, and it was a big community. We had oodles of community members that wanted to be educated. We had a school with 300 students that, one thing you learn very quickly is it's trial and error. So the first day, having 300 students and 4 of us did not work really well. And the teacher and me was like, nope, we're going to keep the kids in the classroom and we're going to go to them. So we did, some little lessons within each classroom. We had 2 youth from our church that went, and they were amazing helpers. The system was built very successfully, I think 3 days that time. And that community now has, they transport water. I think they may be one that the Honduran government has even given permission to sell outside of their community. Don't quote me on that, but they might be one of them. So then when I got back and actually got to attend Clean Water U, it sort of connected a lot of the dots as to why we were doing what we were doing, especially with the education piece. And we don't do this for them, we do this with them. And teaching the educators in the morning, and then they teach their neighbors in the afternoon, is such a remarkable procedure to watch. I don't know, it's very, very moving and neat. And then when I went back to Clean Water U to learn how we prepare that, I have not been a part of that yet. So the next time that we plan an installation, I will be tested on what I learned at Clean Water U with all the preparation and the covenants and the water testing and how we choose one system over another. So all that preparation work, I have not had hands-on experience with yet. Whether I'll ever dive in to build a system, I don't know. We have a great team at our church that does a great job with that. But
that's great. The learning continues from here. We never stop learning. And because you have all 3 of the parts now, it's going to give you, I think, it's very humbling, but it also gives you more confidence because you understand what the other team members, what their focus is, and you can help them to be successful. So, Stephen, how about you? How about expectations and how those were met coming into Clean Water U?
Yeah, truthfully, my list of expectations was pretty straightforward, or maybe pretty short. I already had a lot of built-in confidence in the organization based on the conversations that I'd had over the years with friends from church who had participated. I've traveled abroad a fair amount, so I wasn't really needing too much specific information in that area, though I know it's important for some. Mostly, I just wanted to understand specifically how Living Waters for the World was organized and operated, so that I could figure out where I could plug in, and if there was an opportunity for me to be useful with, what I had to offer. And a secondary part, or no less important for me, was really understanding, based on other experiences that I've had, what the focus of working with versus working for look like for Living Waters for the World. That's just a principle that I believe strongly in, and so I kind of had my eye out for seeing what that felt like. What I experienced was a well-organized and dedicated Living Waters for the World team that clearly understood their individual roles in delivering the training, and that respected and enjoyed each other's company. You guys were armed with content that I would say was engaging, it was interactive, and it was super adaptable to the needs of the class. I came away clearly understanding what needed to be done and where I specifically could be useful. And I had a lot of confidence about, despite it being complicated and a lot of things, that the tools and resources were there to guide me, and I knew where to go to get those to be able to apply them. As far as the working with versus the working for part, I heard this expressed directly, and I saw it demonstrated in the way that relationships were emphasized and respect for our in-country hosts and partners, how that was modeled, along with the whole model itself, because it's really built on equipping the people that receive the system and the educational training to continue to sustain the equipment and processes themselves without us needing to be present on hand and doing the work, which to me would be a doing for model or solution. So it really is completely geared toward sharing, our knowledge and enabling people to care for themselves, which I'm certain they're capable of.
That mutuality really resonated with me as well. And so I loved that about Living Waters for the World. It was a real magnet. Robin, how about you? Expectations and how that played out once you were at Clean Water U doing this part of the LWW journey?
Yes, so much of the same sentiments, expectations of Stephen and Alyssa, and in the results of what actually played out while I was at the training. Keep in mind, I have zero experience with Living Water coming into this training. So my expectations were somewhat simplified in what I was hoping to achieve was, or my expectation was, I was coming to a training and I was
I missed
by
part
which
of that,
they-
Robin. Can you say that again? We've got you now.
Oh, okay, sorry. I came into this with a fairly simple expectation, and that was an overview. I thought I was coming to a training that I was going to get. We're going to give you the tools for it, and you're going to continue to learn the process. From the time I signed up for registration, I quickly learned that I would have to commit to what area I wanted to be trained in. I did not know that, so that was my first learning. So I settled on education because I had 17 years in education through the school district, and I thought, while the other two certainly interest me, I don't know if I'll get a PhD like Alyssa, but it interests me. I settled on education. So I signed up, learning a little bit more. I think what was really helpful, and for those who are watching this that maybe like me don't have as much experience or are kind of on the fence of do I jump in, do I not? Living Waters, before you ever arrive, provides you all these resources and encourage you to watch videos, to read the documents, and they don't only give you for what you signed up for. I didn't only have access to 102 Health Educator. I was able to see what Stephen was going to be learning, what Alyssa was going to be learning, with their other students in their class. So that really helped to broaden my knowledge before I ever arrived and gave me a little bit more confidence as to what. I think where I really started to clue in, I wasn't sure and was expecting to learn how are we tying in the biblical lessons into the installation, the health education. I had no idea how that was going to work. Seeing that video ahead of time got me super excited. She did the Noah's Ark story, for those of you who know that. And that, I'm like, oh, I'm so in. And when I got to class, Joni and Julie, our instructors, they said we were the funnest class to be in, and sorry, Alyssa and Stephen, but I truly believe we were, because every day with hands-on games and lessons and reenactments and dramas, and you don't have to know anything about any of it. And when you leave, you're confident to realizing just how well organized Living Waters is, the intensity and intentionality of the content of how you're learning. The first night we were there, they brought out a 3-legged stool, and it had the 3 areas on it and gave a brief instruction as, well, if you take off one leg of this stool, do you want to sit or stand on it now? Probably not. It's not as strengthened and secure and sustainable. And that really started to resonate, the connection. All 3 areas are super important. Program can't happen without each one, but I recognize that without the education piece and getting people to understand and change the culture of why you're using this clear water that Living Waters is providing versus what looks like the same clear water coming out of their current water source. And through health education, we teach them that. I didn't know we were going to be using, sorry guys, the Petri
Auger
dishes.
plates.
The auger plates, thank you,
Yes.
thank you. The auger plates. That, okay, if that isn't a testament, but without that simple exercise and showing those in country, that's the aha moment for them as well. And it's such a simple exercise. So my expectation coming in, no idea that I would be working with Petri dishes and all these other resources. And now I leave and I graduate from Living Waters, understanding the importance of building relationships with your in-country partners, with your team members for the success of the program.
Those
But-
auger plates are, sorry, Lisa, go for it.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, she talked on the relationships, and that to me is a huge piece. And just this week, our driver, when we're in country, Patricio, happened to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so Patrick and I went down to Charlotte and ate with him. Here, he's the one that takes care of us when we're in Honduras, and it's always nice if he visits to be able to, take him out for a meal and just be friends, as opposed to, it's just that relationship. I love the relationship piece.
Sure, for sure. That's what it's all about. I think Kendall and I have that, especially, and as you have more and more years, like you now do it too. And we have friends from all over the world, all different countries. And I always kind of dream about just one day just kind of taking a kind of a road trip, or it's not really a road trip, but just a kind of a tour. And you can just go all over the place and just run into people. One of my real quick story, one of my best experiences, I love this. I was in Matanzas, Cuba for a conference a couple of years ago, like 2019. And I was walking around trying to find some souvenirs before I left the city, before coming home and stuff. And all of a sudden I had someone yelling my name on the street. And I shouldn't have anyone yelling my name on the street in Matanzas, Cuba, but it was an operator of a site that knew me and he saw me. And that's just amazing, just to be able anywhere in the world and have people recognize you and see people, that's really special.
Well, and I love, there's so many negatives with COVID, obviously, but one of the pluses, and with technology, with the WhatsApp, we get updates from, the community we were in, last August. I could reach out today and they'd answer me and talk to me. And I love that part. I love knowing that they're just a text away. And hopefully soon, within the next year or two, we'll go do a big sustainability visit of all of our systems. We do them piecemeal, but I would love to make a big circuit. So
For sure. I think Robin was talking about the auger plates was kind of a cool surprise. Are there any other surprises that you guys would like to share? Like, what's something that you didn't really expect kind of to hear about, maybe what Living Waters should do, or what you're going to do, or that kind of stuff? Any surprises that you experienced at Clean Water U?
Well, again, doing the learning how to build the system, I'm very impressed with myself. And here on my desk, see, this is my first piece of PVC pipe that I cut. I learned a lot, and I was very honest with my instructor, Dave, that had I done the pre-reading, I probably wouldn't have been as ignorant as I was. But then again, I don't know if the dots would have connected had I done that, beforehand. So I think a big surprise for me was it is simple enough. The system is simple enough, yet powerful enough that I do feel I could, with help, put one together and successfully give a community clean water, which is incredible. I mean, and I think that was a surprise. Not that I thought I couldn't do it, as I know, again, our group goes in very successfully to install them, but anyway, that was a surprise, is that I gained some confidence, I guess, Doug. That was, yeah.
I think for
Very
me,
cool.
as big of a task as providing safe water is to 25% of the world that doesn't have it. The focus of the organization now, as we've talked about so far, on people and relationships first um, surprised me. I came in thinking about some of what Elisa was just speaking to, the more technical aspects of having a functional operating system that delivered, the water, safe water. But, as important as the technology is and the hygiene and the safe water education were, and even the logistics and commitments to getting it done, all of that is important. But building the relationships with one another, with our partners abroad, really is central to the organization's purpose and success. Is how it felt to me. You could feel it in the time that we trained together and how people were treated and cared for, in the structure of and flow of each day. You could hear it in the stories that people shared, as Doug just did, and their experiences. You could hear it in the words of in-country volunteers who we had join us during the training, and how they spoke to how important it was for us to be authentically interested in the culture and the history and the people of the countries where we would be, visiting and joining. So that was one whole area. I think another area, maybe a little more technical in nature, I suppose, in some ways, but I was surprised how willing the Living Waters for the World team was to receive feedback throughout the training. I felt my opinion mattered, because actively solicited input and repeatedly said you were open to new ideas. Despite having been an organization with a proven methodology that's been honed and refined for over 30 years. I've experienced a lot of training in my professional career, and rarely have I seen an organization as interested in continuing to learn and grow. And despite your experiences and successes, didn't claim to have all the answers, or this is the sole and exclusive and only way to be successful. That really made it inviting, inclusive, fun, and refreshing from my standpoint.
Yeah, I think Will Howie always says it's revise, always revise. And I think for those who have been able to see the images of the first system to today there's a big revision happening. And even this last year we've revised, we've had to go to a new ozone. Later this year, we're going to make another revision to the system. And so, yeah, we don't have it figured out. And it's interesting too, because it's a technological thing. Technology changes, so we need to change. And so we're always available for that. Robin, we're talking about surprises, and it led from your comment from the auger plates, which I think is an amazing tool. I know we talked about in your class, in the 102 class, about an install that Joni had, where we actually had like worms growing on that auger plate from the raw water. And that's a big moment. That really opened up your eyes. Was there anything else during the Clean Water U session that kind of surprised you about either what you're going to do, what Living Waters does? Any surprises there that you had?
One of the surprises was the getting to visit the actual installation center where you guys have invested in and have built this building. Learning about what health education does, but we physically were able to walk through a water installation system. And we didn't do it just once. One of the things that Joni and Julie kept training us is repetition, repetition, repetition. And I believe it's intentional by Living Waters, but across the 5 days, there are so many things that are subtly repeated and we're exposed to. And I do believe that there is a forethought, and again, it's being intentional in how you guys design the program, because we visited that facility the first day. We were at that facility as educators the second day. And for those who have not been to Camp Hopewell, those buildings are not side by side. We get in vehicles and we drive into the woods, and where lots of ticks might be and little friends, but we go out to the woods, and all of a sudden there's this facility. And when they talk about evolving and changing and making changes, you see where their first system was, and they teach you how they evolved to different, whether it's UV rays or it's ozone, and how does the water filter through, and how did we reduce, 18 feet of PVC pipe so that through this one little part that now can filtrate water better. That was a surprise to me, for sure. I loved that we had to put a presentation together. Was a little nervous about what exactly that would comprise of. And I don't know if you guys have touched on this, because I had to remove from the Zoom because I was having sound difficulty for a moment. Where our team, so our health educators and then the installers and the program management, we had to present on that last night to the rest of everybody else. And again, there's the repetition that we're not only receiving the information, but we're also teaching the information we just learned. And research shows the best way to retain what you've learned is to turn around and teach somebody else, which I think is also why we have the concept train the trainers. Stephen had, also touched on how that's so important for the success of the program, because we can't stay in country every day, although in some of these countries they're so beautiful and the people are so kind, we would love to stay. We have to come back home. And that whole part of it just was surprising. I agree with Stephen and Alyssa in the administration of Living Water is so accessible. From the time I first reached out in an email with a rather unique and rare way of fundraising to pay for my fees to go to Camp Hopewell and for the training, to on the follow-up and the communication, it's definitely open door for all aspects. And I thank you for that and applaud you. Many organizations will talk it, but they don't live it.
You all are making my heart very glad. I'm also realizing that you all are, I think you started in a different place than where I did back in 2006 when I first came to Clean Water U. You all had some different preconceptions, and I had some that I think I needed to unlearn, frankly, right? And that is how we get better, is by listening to our partners here in the United States, our partners all over the world. There is no way that any of us can have all of the answers for this, but together we can figure out some things, but we didn't have it all figured out 20 years ago. And so there have been a lot of changes for the better. And I think that is for the good. And we're not done with that. So we're so glad that you all are a part of this community now. We hear from partners all over. They're troubleshooting, they're figuring things out. And then that gets folded into our training. So it's really a beautiful thing. I would love to hear from you all about maybe what you anticipate as your next steps, where you're going from here, maybe where your team is going from here. Stephen, how about you all?
Yep. So we've got a congregational team of 6 currently. So we've got plans in the next couple of weeks to meet via Zoom with our partners in Ghana to continue to finalize the Living Waters for the World assessment tools, which enable us to really understand well before we get on a plane that we've got the right location and the right set of resources in country on the ground ready to do to their part. We plan on an installation at this point later this fall, likely in October, perhaps as late as November. And we are aligned with our Ghanaian team in that goal. So from there, we'll begin the work of really, making sure that we've got all the trip details lined out logistically. I might mention, because I don't think we've touched on it too much, it can sound perhaps like a lot of what happens, from those of us within the US and, people in country just waiting for us to show up and do everything. I can really only speak to what I know, and not even having participated firsthand in the Ghanaian model, but there's a group of people that are there that are working all the time in support, not just in support of the, you know, the solution, if you will, to think of it broadly. And I'm not just talking about the operators or who continue to run the system itself, or the educators who continue to do the training in the community, as we spoke about. But I'm talking about other folks who are on the ground, who are making sure that the parts are there and needed, who are doing the assessments of, well, where can we go next, and how will all that work? So the whole process is really dependent on those individuals as well. They're vital, is my understanding, and those are some of the folks that we'll be talking with as part of our next steps to make sure that everyone is ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Our in-country staff and operating partners, the partners in that community. There's so much involved with getting ready to take on this mantle of responsibility for, you know, partnering on water. It basically saying yes to, I'm going to wake up every morning before dawn, and we're going to start processing this water so that we can serve our community what they need for the day. And then our health educators doing that outreach. Those are life-saving lessons. And, you know, running that micro business ministry, whatever that might look like locally, that's a big responsibility. Yeah, we're all doing our part together. Elisa, how about you? What about next steps for your team?
We actually have a meeting in about a week with a local school and another Lutheran church. So hopefully that will lead to a new partnership here in Hickory with us. I don't know next steps as far as in country. We sort of follow our leader, Patrick, but we try about every 2 to 3 years to do an installation. So possibly next spring, summer, going to start like Stephen was talking about, our in-country people, you know, if there's another community. I know one of the communities we already have a system in could possibly use another. So making that initial visit, which would mean then going back in with a team summer 26-ish. So
yeah,
that's where we are.
Yeah, it takes time to build
It does.
that relationship and that trust, to build the team. There's the team on this side, and there's the team in that community coming together to do this. So yeah, you don't want to rush that. And we can be in touch with them in between visits using WhatsApp or email or other forms of communication. But it's a lot of building that goes on there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Robin, how about you? Next steps?
Well, I have to be patiently waiting. Our team is working with their partners in country. I think they have 2 sites they're working to see if those are going to be partnerships that can forge and move forward. They've not traveled or done installations since COVID. I think there's a bit of team rebuilding, which works great for me because now I'll be able to fold into the team as a health educator. I'm hoping I'll get to go on a development trip just so that I'm learning all aspects from the very beginning to then actually showing in country later and doing the install and health educating. So while I'm patiently waiting, I am reviewing my health education materials. I am practicing resourcing materials and continuing to fundraise so that we can purchase those materials for us to take in country. That was one of the things that also surprised me. Was I was thinking kind of like typical for a teacher, you have your bag of tricks and all your resources, and you go in, you use those and you teach with them, and then you come back home with those. We leave everything we bring in so that then the trainers in country can take those materials and move on with them. And they actually practice learning with them, and now they have them to go forward. So I'm working on putting my totes together while I'm patiently waiting for a go date.
It's a lot, that health education, the whole kit. And
Mhm.
it's a beautiful thing when you return to visit your partners, because we're partners over a period of time,
Mhm.
3 years and beyond, and to hear maybe not even just the children singing, but maybe the teenagers and
Mhm.
men in the community singing, use this water in their local language,
Mhm.
the songs. It's a great thing about the health education, very memorable ways of sharing that information, and in a variety of ways, song and art, uh, all the ways to make it stick so that we change our
Mhm.
behavior. I love that.
Mhm.
Well, and I know
I
Robin
think-
has talked some about the repetitiveness. And Robin, I don't know if you heard this story, but I love the 102. I too taught for 11 years. I work in higher ed now, so I am in education also. But I kept asking for maybe an afternoon off from 103 so that I could come and participate in the experiment where they put pepper in a bowl of water and you put Dawn on your finger and watch the
Mhm.
germs scatter. And I was told that no, I was not allowed to miss 103, that I had to stay in my class. But Dave Parks, my teacher, confiscated a bowl from the cafeteria and pepper, and he surprised me. So I got to do the experiment that you guys were doing that day too. So again, the repetitiveness, and that was one of my biggest memories from 2018 doing the health education piece. And I love those visuals, but that was a big highlight from this year's Clean Water U for me was Dave surprising me with
Oh, that's a
the
favorite
germ
activity.
Yeah.
That was one that amazed everybody. It's so simple, and you do it the
Yes.
one time, and it goes back to in health education the visuals that we're bringing, and not just verbalizing it all to them.
Yep.
We trust and we have faith, and we go forward not knowing what we see, right? And that's our faith. But for others, especially for when you have families for their entire lives, all they know is going to this one spigot to get this water. And so why can't we continue using it? Eyesight, and they're experiencing with their own senses to see that, oh, okay, wait a minute. Even though it looks the same, it really is not the same. And you can talk for hours, but that's never going to resonate until you visually see the worms in the petri dish that Doug was talking about. And that's coming from a water source that they're using. So as an educator, we then make the connection. Do you see all these little crawling bugs? And then they're starting to make that connection that water source that they've been using is what's making their stomach not feel good. It's making them not be able to go to school during the day and missing their lessons. It's not allowing them to be able to go to work because now they can't leave the house because they feel so ill. And it's not, most of that's happening out of this faucet or out of this creek or out of this river. And so when we can show the visuals, and I think that's where Living Waters is so spot on and targeted, where they make those connections. They understand as organizations, we can't just talk about it. We have to visually show it. And it's evident at the training facility. Like I said, we see the actual installation. They're not images. They're not photos on a PowerPoint saying, oh, when you arrive in country, inventory, this is what you're looking for. Alyssa could go in and actually touch those items and spin the filters onto the systems and spin them back off. And for Stephen, for the project management, they have to run, if I believe right, Stephen, didn't you have to run through different scenarios, and you had different problems, and you had a problem and so finding a solution as a project manager? All of that just makes a successful program. And we can't do what we do as volunteers without Living Waters continually looking ahead and being forward thinkers. And that's truly the glue that helps. They say we're a three-legged stool, and they put it as a 101, 102, and a 103, right? So educator and your installers, right? But there's a fourth leg to this stool. And well, okay, maybe not a leg. You have the top to the stool, and that's the fourth piece. Living waters, not because the seat's at the top, because they never make you feel that way, like all this is being pushed downward to you. It's like we're all equally on the same level of the stool, but you can't sit or stand on that stool unless you have that fourth component, and that's living water and the passion that they bring and the skill set that they bring to the table.
I love that. I love that. Having us as the seat of the stool and putting it all together. That's a cool visual. I know that in this last Clean Water U, Jeff started showing a kind of an image about kind of a donut, and Living Waters is the outside of the circle, and the network and everything is the inside. But I love that adding to the three-legged stool, because the three-legged stool has always been there. That's cool. Thank you. I'd like for you guys right now, and Robin, you got a second chance for this now too in a second. What would you guys say to people who are kind of on the fence? You already gave your message, but let's give another message to the people out there that are listening right now that are maybe on the fence about, joining Clean Water U in kind of a bigger step. We love everyone that's able to join us for Cup Bearers and World Water Day and Giving Tuesday. Those are super appreciative, and we love that. But someone that's maybe thinking about, maybe I want to do Clean Water U, maybe take that bigger step and get involved. What would you guys say to someone that's listening and watching us right now?
Do it.
Do
Act
it.
on it. If you feel or you're getting that message inside of you, that's not coincidence. That's God talking to you. He's telling you you're in a place. It's time for you to move forward and do it. That's one of the things that also surprised me. It's not. There are different systems for different scenarios that they have to test for. Every country is different. Within that country, every community is different. This isn't only for school buildings or for churches. It's wherever the fit makes sense and looks to be the most beneficial to be successful for the community and changing lives. I would say step off the fence and just go with it. Trust that you're moving in a direction that God is moving you into, or whatever your faith system is, or even not, you have that conscience that's telling you to go. And so you've got that little person on your shoulder saying, move forward. We can't continue doing what we're doing if we don't have more people training and moving forward.
Awesome. Do it. Alyssa, you said do it as well. What else? Let's give a little more to that. Do it.
Well, I came home, I told you my confidence level in my building skills was very much enhanced. And I told Les, I said, I think I'm going to go do this full time. And he just, of course, stared at me, knowing we have, 2 in college, 1 more to get through anyway. But it is such a rewarding, it's better than rewarding. I don't know. Every time that I attend Clean Water U, I learn something new. I meet new people. This year, my roommates and I think we text almost daily, a month out. So, you meet people from all over, like you said, Doug, and again, seeing Patricio, one of our family members from Honduras just last week, or just this week, it was this week. And then when you go in country and, they're just so welcoming, and it's just such an awesome feeling to meet them, to work beside them, to, and again, Living Waters has such an incredible model that I think one of my most favorite parts is that sustainability piece, where we don't just pop in for a week and then leave. The relationships that, are built are it's just amazing. So yeah, jump off the fence, do it.
Stephen, what's your message to people on the fence?
Yeah, Doug, I'd say this: if you have even a hint of a desire to literally be a source of life-giving water to some of the 2 billion people worldwide who don't have access, then Living Waters for the World offers just a wonderful opportunity to come just as you are and to step metaphorically into a river that's already flowing of loving people and well-defined processes that allow you to make a real difference. You know, when maybe this will resonate with some of you. You know how when you go to a movie or live theater or a concert, and you have some other experience where the message and the purpose and the people you interacted with just keep returning to your thoughts unprovoked, unconsciously for weeks after it's really connected with you in some way. That was my Clean Water U experience. You know, I went in thinking I'm going to learn some skills, know what I need to know, get back to my regular life until it's time for me to use those. And it's not quite been like that. It's you know, it's gotten inside me. And simply put, these are people that I want to be with and be around, that I experienced in our 5 days there together. So I'd say take the plunge, say yes. As Kendall has said, there's meaningful work to do. You'll be welcomed and supported. The program's undergirded with a depth of experience, professionalism, and love.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you know, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I cannot imagine my life without Living Waters for the World. And the relationships that we have with all of our volunteers, those who help us with Clean Water U, those who help us with networks, our in-country staff, all of our students who have come through. Oh, I just, yeah, I don't even want to think of it. I can't imagine it, and I don't want to think about my life without Living Waters for the World. Stephen, Robin, and Elisa, I want to thank you all for inspiring us, re-inspiring us. And I think that's part of our calling as well. And helping us to invite other people in, and maybe people who are re-engaging. I love, Robin, how you mentioned the seasons of our lives. And sometimes it's not our season. Maybe we can help in one way, and then a season changes and we're in a different place, and we can step into that river in a deeper way. And I'm so glad that you all have done that. And thank you for sharing what you've been learning on your journey with Living Waters for the World. Everyone who has joined us for this conversation today, you're going to want to see the video that we're about to share. I do want to remind everybody that we have another Living Waters for the World training, Clean Water U, coming up, excuse me, in September. That's September 24th through the 28th at Johnsonburg Camp. This is another partner of ours. We have Camp Hopewell in Mississippi. We can't do this without our partners. So this camp is going to be, the training will be up in New Jersey. We'd love to talk to anyone about forming a team to partner on water. So you all can reach out to us via our website, www.livingwatersfortheworld. So stay tuned for this video, and thanks for being with us today. And we'll see you in June for our next Water Drops Live. Thanks
Thanks a lot, guys.